Hello, beautiful people. This is Freedom Fighter. Thank you for tuning into our channel, Goldilocks Global Banking News. Everybody knows that Goldilocks is the number one source for the RVGCR. People from around the world tune in to see what Goldilocks is sharing on the RVGCR. Don't miss your chance and get your latest updates every day. So like, share, and subscribe to this channel to get your daily podcast from the Goldilocks articles on the RVGCR. Brought to you by Freedom Fighter. Hey, fine folks. This is Freedom Fighter. Looks like we were having some technical difficulties with the music. There might be a couple of squirrels that need some nuts in the jukebox. So we're gonna go ahead and proceed with the call without the music, and we'll be all good. We'll be all good. Excuse me. This is Saturday Night Dialogues, and this is September the 28th, 2024. Saturday Night Dialogues with Freedom Fighter and my brother from another mother, Jester. We're going to be going over some of the Goldilocks articles for this week with a bunch of crazy good news and information coming out, especially going into October. Before we get started, make sure my good man Jester is ready to rock and roll. There's no Tennessee game tonight, so he's bored.
Yeah, right. That's the truth. It's not the same, you know.
We won't be hearing you screaming in the background for no touchdowns.
That's right.
That
would be okay.
You ready to rock and roll?
I am.
All right, cool. I'll open up with some prayer, and we will get some announcements out of the way and jump right into it. Father God, we thank you, as always, for allowing us to come together as a family, as a community, as a tribe, to bring forth the wisdom, knowledge, and information pertaining to this blessing that you have bestowed upon us. No matter who it is that listens to this call, whether they are here with us live or hear the recording anywhere in the world, we ask, Father, that you keep everyone covered. We ask that you also protect and keep those safe that are having any issues from the storm, from the hurricane. And we pray that you allow everyone to be able to recover and restore in a wholesome manner. And we ask that you cover them all. We ask that you give Jester, myself, and anyone that contributes on the call tonight the words, the wisdom to be able to express ourselves, to give the message to the people in the way in which is pleasing to you first and foremost. We honor you, we glorify you, and we praise your precious name in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. All right, folks. Real quick, when we get to the Q&A, please remember Q&A. The Q stands for questions. Please ask your questions. That's not the time to give long speeches. We've been noticing the last several calls. We know you guys get excited, but just please have some etiquette, because when we do the editing for the recording, your long speeches makes it difficult. All right. So ask your questions so other people can learn from those answers. Real quick. Also, our room, Goldilocks QFS Dialogues, is open for Q&A Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then Jester's Place is open from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. Monday through Friday, Eastern Standard Time. That's where you go have fun, kick it. And also, Jester drops a lot of gems on the process of the RVGCR. He occasionally drops in some of the information that he shared many, many years ago, 10, 11 years ago or so. And you'll see that a lot of what he has shared back then is coming to pass now. Also, he has fun in the sun on Fridays with the music, and then he's open 8 p.m. on Saturdays, right before the 9 o'clock call. This call, the Saturday night dialogues. And then we have Dee's room, where she shares a lot of articles from all over, and then the crypto finance room with Dave Rose Big Dog, where anything related to cryptocurrency, you're able to go in that room and ask your questions. Then we had last Wednesday, we had a call with Wiley, who interviewed two of our members, Harv and Trish, who had appointments with their wealth managers. They got questions answered. They made some mistakes, then corrected them. And even Harv has a whole team um, that is already set with her, on her side for her benefit of her wealth building once she exchanges. It was a big surprise. And no, it's not even at a big bank, it's at a private firm. And Trish also did an amazing job establishing relationships as well. And we're very proud of them. Now, next Thursday, of course, we have our higher learning call with Anastasia and myself. This past Thursday, the topic was how to find your purpose. And that is where you can grow and learn from a spiritual perspective how this is a spiritual RV, yes, and also financial RV. Then Goldilocks Global Banking News, your daily podcast, where literally countries, there's only 189 plus countries, over 100 are subscribed to the channel, with thousands and thousands of people from around the world literally that are tuning in. Several um, government agencies are continually tuning in, watching the rooms. Goldilocks has been sharing with me quite a few of the agencies, government agencies, financial agencies are consistently tuning in, and also sharing a lot of behind the scenes information, as far as the interlinking and interworkings of the banking system, with Goldilocks. A lot of that information comes out in the articles, um, as well. All right. So, that being said, we are going to get rocking and rolling with the first article. No, um, ladies and gentlemen, October is going to be a month to remember. Um, a lot of what Goldilocks is sharing, if you weren't aware, if someone is not paying attention to the details of the process, they would not really get the full picture and the magnitude of how this whole entire RVGCR is transpiring. Um, when you're constantly hearing every weekend, anytime the prime minister comes to the United States to give a speech, and yeah, he's going back to Iraq, and every weekend, every time he does, and it's going to be if you keep hearing and hearing that stuff, and you keep hearing all of these dates thrown out every weekend to confuse you, you'll truly miss the actual details of the process, that Goldilocks is sharing, which gives you a level of peace and understanding, and then helps you to stay grounded in seeing the process as it is truly developing, so that you're not getting drunk off the Kool-Aid and slapped with guru fufu all the time. All right. So I'm gonna drop on you the first because we're going to get right into the details of the process. Some of this you all may remember from during the week, and it may be a refresher, but it's necessary. All right. Did it drop in the room? It did. All right. So Goldilocks is sharing October the 1st, the end of price manipulation around the world. SOFR supports real values. Well, what is SOFR? It's also called SOFR. It's secured overnight financing rate. There was an announcement. But before I get into this announcement, just know July of 2023 was the beginning of this SOFR, or called SOFR. I'm going to explain it. It was the beginning of SOFR, the ending of what's called LIBOR, LIBOR. I'm not going to go into the details of it. In summary, technically, the RV began on July of 2023 with SOFR, SOFR, beginning to be implemented into the banking system. October the 1st, a couple of days from now, it becomes effective in all of the banks around the world. This is why Goldilocks states October the 1st, the end of price manipulation around the world. Because now this is actually going into law on October the 1st, where all banks, a switch will be flipped. This is why I stated earlier in the podcast that was released earlier, October the 1st is the beginning of the reset. Why? Because the banks reset their lending system, which includes interest rates that also affects currency rates around the world. No, no, no. That does not mean that it's the RV on October the 1st. It is the beginning of this particular rating system in the banks that all banks around the world will adopt on October the 1st. So here we go. SOFR is a broad measure. This is their announcement, final announcement. It's a broad measure of the cost of borrowing cash overnight, collateralized by U.S. Treasury securities in the repurchase agreement market. So to break it down to you, before, when banks do overnight loans, for you that may not realize, this is how banks make money with loans and interest rates on loans. Billions and billions daily. In the old system, banking system, the banks would have to settle these loans and clear these loan payments. It would take 3 to 5 days. Now, with the new system that goes into effect on October the 1st, it's overnight, where they will settle these loans. Therefore, their cash flow, therefore their profits are realized overnight instead of 3-4 days out. This is why it's called the secured overnight financing rate. Therefore, quicker, faster, immediate profits. Now, this also includes, on October the 1st, law for all U.S. banks to have capital requirements based on Basel III capital requirements and gold reserves in the banking system. This is also why Goldilocks shared a couple of weeks ago that October the 1st is the beginning stages of the gold standard for large banks specifically, because the capital requirements that go into effect as law with the large banks on October the 1st, and the secured overnight financing rate that also goes into effect in the banking system on October the 1st, but that is also global. This is all done under the umbrella of the U.S. Department of Treasury. This shift in overnight loans will now come from the U.S. Treasury securities to banks, markets, and more. The secured overnight financing rate, it's a benchmark interest rate that measures the cost of borrowing cash overnight for banks. It's used by financial institutions to set interest rates for other businesses and borrowers. And that could be corporate businesses or even individuals. But this is how banks, one of the ways banks makes cash flow immediately. Globally, Goldilocks shares, all banks and all trading systems will now be synchronized through a secured overnight financing rate on October the 1st, 2024. I hope you're picking up what I'm putting down and connecting the dots to see how the banking system here in the US and the global banking system is synchronizing on October the 1st. While this is taking place, several shipping ports on October the 1st on the East Coast and Gulf Coast are expected to go on strike the same day, October the 1st. Well, this is also why Goldilocks has always said, watch the water, because many countries' currencies, all countries' currencies, are affected by their goods and services that they ship on the water across borders on the ports. This will provide an opportunity for our shipping ports to switch the system over from a LIBOR, old banking rating system, to a SOFR, SOFR overnight rates. It will switch 80% of our trades plus over to the U.S. Treasury lending services. This is the shift. 80% of the trades, 80% of the transactions will be switched over to the U.S. Treasury. This is the reset that many of you saw in the episode released earlier. This is the banking reset. Yes, interest rates, including the secured overnight financial rate, can affect exchange rates, economic growth, and asset prices. It's a benchmark that financial institutions use to price their loans and set rates for currency swaps. So that's currency transactions. So just know, this is something on October the 1st. It's not something that you're going to most likely see on your nightly news. It's not something you're most likely going to see. You might see it on your finance channels, but you definitely aren't going to see it in dinar land, because they have no idea, no clue about this process of what's happening in the banking system that ultimately leads to our event. These types of things must happen where this reset of the banking system on October the 1st, it's all a part of leading up to the event. Jester, my good man, before we move on, I want to make sure I touch base with you. Did you want to add
Well, no, I
anything here?
appreciate that. Oh yeah. Well, here's the thing. Ever since you shot this article out, this has been going on for a good while. There's a transition plan that started back. I don't know. This was 2018. Looks like anticipation of things to come. And this is some weird. I mean, they've been planning on this for a long time. And actually had plans for it to be done sooner than it is now. So we're actually a couple of years behind schedule, according to this timeline that I found here, which was put out. Well, they're not even updating this ARRC, but you can find a lot of information back there. In 2017, they selected this as the preferred alternative to the LIBOR. It's stuff. The whole history of this repo market is very interesting. I gotta tell you, this is a little deep dive here, so I gotta catch up. But, No, I'm serious. It's good stuff, but there's more to it, and I hadn't figured
Hmm.
out exactly where we're headed with this yet. So anyway, I'll have a better report later.
Okay,
No,
okay,
seriously,
okay.
there's article after article after article since 2017 on this thing.
Hmm.
This is a huge find. It's just very complicated.
Hmm. Hmm. And folks, 2017 as well, just to l- give you a reminder, what Jester just mentioned about 2017 when they started the shift with this. 2017 is when Trump's executive order went live on the quantum initiative, which is the quantum
Well, there you
financial
go.
system.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
So
Yep, there is.
these, yeah, there's no coincidence whatsoever. Whatsoever. All right, we're going to jump right into the next one, folks. The FDIC, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, which I'm sure most of you are familiar with and have heard of, whereby this is the insurance company that insures within the banking system deposits up to $250,000. They are also implementing new regulations
Yeah.
on October the 22nd and also November the 16th. But let's jump right into this. This is very relevant and connects to our deposits in the banking system. So you must be aware and pay attention. And it also affects currencies also as well. All right. So the FDIC, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, in summary, and this is, I won't read the whole entire code, but it relates to foreign banks and foreign branches of banks, and has implications on foreign currency. Why? Because foreign banks that do business and transact business with the United States, well, their currencies, of course, have to be converted once they are cleared within the U.S. banking system. This also includes exchanges. It includes whether it's deposits from foreign banks, whether it's exchanges that you have foreign currency that you're exchanging in the U.S. banking system, whether it's foreign companies that are doing business with U.S. banks globally and they have to do conversions from their currency, from the foreign currency to U.S. dollars. It's all included within this FDIC new ruling that's coming out. This is in regards to filing procedures. So this is the checks and the balances, new regulations for the checks and balances, transparency related to the FDIC. So these procedures, they're made to establish moving and closing a foreign branch of an insured state non-member bank. It also includes sections on investments in foreign organizations. So these foreign organizations, foreign banks, if they're doing business and transacting money with U.S. banks anywhere around the world, this is related to them, and you will see it's related to us as individuals. These regulations, U.S. financial institutions must now file a currency transaction report for each currency transaction over $10,000. This is not the what most of you are aware of. The file, the form, I believe is 803 or 8300. I forget off the top of my head. Where if you do a cash transaction in a bank for 10,000 or more. This is related to that, but it's different. Where on the back end, with the new regulations that go into effect after October the 22nd, this is in regards to the deposits in the banking institutions. Once these banks move from unsafe to safe deposit institutions, they are reinstated for cross border international trading. This will go into the Federal Register as law after October the 22nd. You may want to say, okay, well, how does this relate to us? This is a new reporting rules that the banks must use globally about the monies going into the banking system transactions for currency transactions over $10,000. Before, they didn't have it for the global markets, the global banking markets. Now they are. It makes you wonder, and this is related to cross-border transactions. What are cross-border transactions? Anytime you have a currency of another country, let's say you have dinar, you have dong, and you're exchanging it for US dollars, or you have two different currencies that are from two different borders, those are cross-border transactions. As you can see, they are crossing their T's and dotting their I's in the banking system to prepare for the changes that are coming. The transactions, no, 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 not just currency, foreign currency exchanges. This is not exclusive to foreign currency exchanges. This is the new regulations for the whole entire banking system. Currency exchanges are just a part of it. Because I know how many people will think this is exclusive to currency exchanges, and I want to make sure I articulate the fact that it is not exclusive. Less than 1% have larger amounts of currency. So understand, this is a part of the global shift in our banking system. Now, what I also shared is a link right below that Wiley shared earlier from Wintrust. This is important for you to realize. When you exchange your currency, when you have this wealth, with the maximum amount of that your money is insured in the banking system is 250,000. Well, if you have more than 250,000 and it's over that amount, is not insured. However, if you have your money divided amongst different banking institutions, let's say 250,000 and less, then your money is insured. All of your money, millions and millions of dollars, if you so choose to keep it in the banking system, would be insured. And what Wiley shared in the link of Wintrust, and you search MaxSafe, is where you'll be able to do your own research. Search banks that have this program whereby they can divide your money into the banking system across different banks within their portfolio and secure your funds in the banking system. It could be $250,000 divided amongst 10 banks. Well, you're insured all of that money within the banking system. Not $250,001. 250,000 is insured and up to. All right. So this is going into the Federal Register right after October the 22nd. No coincidence, these new regulations are going into place. Before we jump to the next one, I want to yield to my man Jester and see if he wanted to add anything to this.
It's an interesting scenario. The fact of the matter is, it's like you said, you gotta know more than you know now. Wiley's got some good stuff there. The 5 trusts take you up to 1.125 million or something like that. It's kind of crazy stuff. Here's where we talk about how you're going to cash out. So how are you going to make that scenario work if you don't have it
secure,
an intermediate of some sort to make it work? You can't just take $1 bazillion out into your dang bank and expect it to work alone.
Right.
And you're going to have a liability. But here's where I think that the better way is getting with the lawyer and locking up the money on a trust account, and then taking it out when you got it all figured out and you got it all safe. I don't know.
Right.
That's one of the scenarios that most of my people know about. I'm not sure that your people, we don't talk about it much, so we probably ought to at some point in time. But there's just better ways of taking the transaction. So
Right. Right.
this is a good reason why. Very good information, by the way.
Hmm. Yep.
So anyway,
All right. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
nope, nope, no
All right.
problem.
Appreciate it. All right.
You guys don't know what I'm talking about, then come over and I'll explain it sometime.
Folks, just in case you didn't hear Jester, if you want to jump into his room any time, he'll be able to give you more detail on what he's sharing. Feel free to jump over there. All right. Next, we're going to jump into on October the 16th. Folks, this is in regards to clearing. Let me preface it by explaining your exchanges. An exchange, there's a clearing process in the banking system.
Mhm.
Deposits, withdrawals, clearing process in the banking system. So here we have Division of Clearing and Risk. This is an announcement. Many announcements coming in October. Now, there's a roundtable discussion where participants are going to talk about clearing organizations, which include digital assets, collateralizing, which is backing one's assets in the banking system in a digital format. And with foreign currency exchanges, there's a clearing. It's a process of settling transactions, which involves the exchange of information between financial institutions to confirm payment details. Well, what is that? When you exchange your dinar for US dollars, there is an immediate exchange of information between the Central Bank of Iraq and the Federal Reserve Bank here in the United States. Our central bank and their central bank. If you exchange your dong, the Central Bank of Vietnam is named the State Bank of Vietnam. You go and you exchange your dong for USD, there's an immediate exchange of information between the State Bank of Vietnam and the Federal Reserve Bank here in the States. So this particular roundtable discussion, and this is by the CFTC, which is the Commodities Futures Trade Commission. Remember, I'm going to give you a refresher for some of you it may be new. Our currencies, all currencies around the world, are under the Securities and Exchange Commission. They're registered securities with the Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC, and they are also under and governed by the Commodities Future Trade Commission, CFTC. Why? Because all of our currencies will be backed by what? Commodities, gold, silver, agricultural products. This is why the Commodities Future Trade Commission is so important. This particular new guidelines that are also being implemented by the CFTC is important as well. So what this does, this is in regards to foreign currency exchanges. It's a clearing process and it establishes the positions, it calculates the obligations of financial instruments or cash available to secure a transaction. It also verifies the balances, the account balances, and ensures compliance with regulatory requirements. So verifying account balances. Okay, if you got $3 million that you've exchanged and you're expecting $3 million in your bank account, there's a verification process that has to be done and sharing of information. And it's called a clearing. It's a settlement transaction. Clearing is necessary to match all buy and sell orders in the market, all transactions in the banking system. As you can see, Forex trading in local currencies is the heart of the new digital banking system. What Goldilocks is saying, Foreign currency exchange trading in local currencies is the heart of the quantum financial system. Forex daily trade volumes, listen to this. Daily trade volumes in Forex is $6.6 trillion. 6.6 trillion every day. Therefore, as you can understand, it's important to get these transactions standardized going forward. The standardization process, folks, is the regulations. It's benchmarks to make sure in the new banking system everything is transparent. Both sides of the exchange, both sides of the trade, both sides of the transaction is settled properly. Your accounts are secured. Both your balances are accurate. And this is done through the Commodities and Future Trade Commission. Don't dismiss these things as being not relevant to you, because this is just the inner workings of the new system being integrated behind the scenes. Yeah, I know some of you may not care. You just want to know, okay, when do I go exchange? But then for those that really want to understand the process, there's a level of comfort and peace that you have and knowledge that you have that empowers you, so that when you go and you establish your relationships with wealth managers, or even if you skip that and just go straight to the time of exchange, you're able to have conversations with the people that are helping you to manage your wealth. There's there's a certain level of understanding that you have. You'll be able to ask intelligent questions to the people managing your money, whether it's CPAs, lawyers, um, private wealth advisors, whatever it is. They know this stuff. They have an understanding of it. Just imagine they're talking to you and you have a level of understanding of what they're saying and you're able to throw back questions to them. That can make a difference of you growing your wealth when your team of individuals in your wealth team have a certain level of respect for you because you know certain things. You don't need to know it all, but at least you have a basic understanding of how the system works. So these things that are interlining in the banking system, very important to understand, and also gives you an understanding of how the process is working behind the scenes. And that is from the Commodities Future Trade Commission, which all currencies will be backed by commodities. All right, before we get to the next one, and which is really the last one, Jester, I'm gonna come to you just in case if you have anything to add, my good man.
This, you know, this is a highly technical scenario here. Of course, I'm sitting here looking at the CFTC. They're holding this roundtable, right? And they're going to be having a bunch of people come in 9 to 1 o'clock on October the 16th. So
Mm-hmm.
you guys can watch too, by the way, because it's
Stream.
the
Mm-hmm.
numbers and passwords are all right here. Interesting. Well, they are.
Right.
You can actually watch the live show. Um, so this is. I mean, the topics to be covered: custody and delivery of digital assets and margin. Interesting. Collateralization. So, if you understand collateralization, that's putting up an asset against a loan.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure where this is going with that, but interesting stuff because 24/7 trading, non-intermediated clearing with margin. So, I don't know. This is highly technical, quite frankly. I'd probably like to watch it, except for I probably wouldn't understand a damn thing they were saying. Um, you know what I mean? Oh man,
But actually, the next and final article will clarify and break it down in layman's
weird
terms.
stuff.
I wanted to share this as a caveat to what we're going to show next before we get into Q&A.
Good deal.
All right, cool. I just dropped it into the room, and it says from Goldilocks. If you take a close look at what we just shared on the Commodities Future and Trade Commission regarding their next meeting that Jester just talked about, Regarding clearing assets and the risk, you will notice that all the items on the agenda deal with clearing digital assets we've talked about earlier this year. It is at this precise point of which assets trading with one another are because of a foreign currency exchange representation that is digitized and backed by gold. This is the tokenization, folks, of the physical assets, physical gold, physical silver, physical metals that will be digitized in the quantum financial system. Now they're in the process of coming together to talk about the settling in the digital assets of these transactions. Goldilocks shares this gives us a clue to where we are in the process of building new digital asset-based trading system. I'm going to read this again, but read it to where you'll understand. This gives us a clue to where we are in the process of building the quantum financial system. It is the exchange of money between countries in digital format that will become the protocols of the quantum financial system. It is the exchange of money between countries. Well, when you exchange your dinar for US dollars, isn't that an exchange of monies between countries? When you exchange your dong or any other foreign currency for US dollars, isn't that the exchange of money between countries? So just think it is an exchange of money between countries in a digital format. Remember, earlier this year, Iraq shared that their banking system is now a digital banking system. Goldilocks continues, could we see floats during the high times of volatility this year? Yes, we might. And the BRICS system just may be the cause of some of this with the introduction of their payment system and new payments on coin announced here in October. This is very important what I'm about to share about Goldilocks. You're going to connect the dots now. International payment systems integration. Late this year, going into early next year, will be the concluding steps we are looking for as we finalize the regulatory laws that will enable us to move forward. International payment systems integration. Well, what is an international payment system? UPI, Universal Payment Interface, which Iraq, Vietnam, Venezuela, and 8 other countries went live in January, which is a payment system that was created by India. Who is India? BRICS. BRICS is creating their own payment system. So, BRICS creating their own international payment system. The BRICS payment system will connect with UPI, that payment system. Now we have FedNow and FedWire, which is the United States international payment system, which will connect to the BRICS payment system and also to the UPI, Universal Payment Interface. And then you have to understand in every region around the world, Europe will have their payment system. Asia, certain parts of Asia, and all of these payment systems these international payment systems will now begin to interconnect. It is through these payment systems that, because they are digital, because they will be backed by gold, because there will be the tokenization of assets, this is what it will enable us to exchange our currencies in a digital format in the quantum financial system. Why? Through the international payment systems, because these payment systems settle transactions, they settle exchanges, they settle banking transactions such as deposits, withdrawals, wire transfers, and yes, foreign currency exchanges. The payment systems enable and allow our exchanges to happen in the quantum financial system. Many of these laws, Goldilocks shares, are being finalized in the month of October. Two will be in November. Iraq has already announced in writing from the CBI that they will conclude their banking reforms in December. And then we can begin to look for Bretton Woods agreement, Goldilocks says, after that, beginning of next year. So, for those of you who are new hearing this, for those of you who have been here, you know that the CBI themselves have said that they will be finished with their shift by the end of this year. They've already shared that 95% of their banking reforms have been completed, will be completed by the end of this year, with only 5% to complete. That's directly from the CBI. And if anyone during Q&A would like for me to share that in the room, I will do so. Not a problem. Share that directly from the CBI. Because I know, someone shared with me that there were some people that were stating that Iraq went international and it's happening this week. No, that's not accurate. That's guru foo-foo. When you have Iraq themselves that's saying that they will be finished with their reforms by the end of this year, you can rest assured Iraq is telling you from the CBI is accurate and not what anyone else is telling you. Again, I can share that in Q&A if someone would like. But the point of this particular article shared by Goldilocks is to know that the international payment systems, which we must have in place, if we don't have international payment systems communicating with each other, there cannot be no exchanges. If we don't have the international payment system that Iraq is connected to, that Vietnam is connected to through India and their, which is the UPI, if they don't connect to our payment system in the US called FedNow, with FedWire coming on board, there cannot be exchanges. How will there be an exchange of information that the regulations are coming out for? How could there be exchange of data and transparency and accountability if that is not done? How is that even possible? It's not. These payment systems are the railways that allow our currencies to move in the quantum financial system to make way for us to exchange our currencies. And the interlinking of these international payment systems must happen, and they're in the process of happening. But this is why the regulations to do so is coming out here in October, to regulate the payment systems, to regulate the transactions, to regulate the quantum financial system. So for those of you who are constantly hearing people telling you it's done, it's happening right now, this week, 72 hours, the same garbage that they've been saying for the last 10 plus years. Guard your emotions, protect your emotions. Make sure you are able to see vetted proof directly from the sources. If we don't have regulations to provide the laws and the regulatory framework for our exchanges, how can that happen? How could the exchanges happen if there's no international payment systems to connect the payment system in Iraq with the payment system in the US? How is that even possible? How can we exchange if it's not there? So here we have the regulations that are being implemented in the month of October to give the legal framework and the laws applied to make sure that it's properly laid out. Also, with the protocols and the standards to share information of the accuracy of our transactions in the new quantum financial system. These regulations are going into October to make it happen, and then some in November as well. So if you are paying attention to these things, if you are seeing these regulations and these protocols and these standards and these laws going into place, you know they are setting the table for the event to happen eventually. And you can rest assured without having your emotions all out of whack from being on the weekly roller coaster that a lot of people get on to keep you coming back with the Kool-Aid that's laced with garbage and foo-foo. So guard yourself, be careful, and to follow the facts that we're sharing. And you can review this information for yourself. All right.